sawzall wasn't big enough to get in there. I'm gonna go back and clean all these up afterwards, but got a lot more of those to go all the way down. The problem is, however they did this with this renovation they did back in the day, there's a weird joist set up here, which I could probably remove it. This one or this one. Seems like it's not even doing anything. So we'll see. Alright, here I am in the garage shop. The LVLs are slightly oversized. I need to cut them down. I have used every inch of the shop here to get this done. So here goes nothing. Alright, got both beams cut here. I need to bolt them together. Some people say to screw them together, but I'll just go the extra mile and throw some bolts through them. And that's going to be the next step here. Okay, next step I'm going to do a threaded rod with some bolts in them every 24 inches. Going down the whole board. I'll also throw in some glue. Right now I'm just going to mark everything out. Get some glue in between these boards and get this thing bolted together. Alright, so cutting threaded rod, you want to put a nut on each side so that once you cut this, the bird end, like if the nut is already on there, it's going to want to make the threads go correctly. If you don't have one on there, sometimes it's impossible to get the threads started from off, if it's off the threaded rod. I just cut it with a sawzall. This will make the threads go the way they are supposed to. And now it will work correctly. As opposed to if you don't do that, sometimes you go to try to put this on after a fresh cut and it doesn't ever want to thread. Pro tip. how you do that. Be nice and strong now. Properly rated for the weight that is going to have to hold. And I originally got the 2x12 because a 2x10 would have been too small, and I wanted to maximize the amount of wood that I had to work with to support the house. So the bigger I could get it, the better. And then I didn't want to buy something, you know, that wasn't absolutely as big as it could be. So that's why I decided to buy a bigger one and rip it down. And according to most, that's how they cut these. When they make them, they make these real big and then they cut them down into certain widths. So from what I've read, there's no problem with ripping these out of your house. And we'll be good to go and get this loaded in. I don't know if I'll be able to do it myself or not. We will find out very soon. Stay tuned. So, got this beam in here. And I had to have some people come help me because I couldn't lift it on my own. It weighs well over 200 pounds. And right now it's on these jacks. And I can manage this myself from here. But there's a couple spots where it's really tight and it's starting to push the floor upstairs while not sitting all the way up against the subfloor. So I need to cut some relief with a multi-tool and get this thing sitting the right way. Alright, so here's an example. The beam is not hitting, bottoming out. And it's because there's spots where it's just super tight and it won't ever get in there. So I'm going to take the multi-tool and just cut relief in there. Got all of my joist hangers here, and the next step is to get all of where are they? Oh, here. All of these in place on each. You can see some of these old joists are useless, but there's new ones behind them. But still tying them all together will help. So every single one of these, and on each side, 20 something total, need to get those, and then once they have that, the joist hangers will go on and this thing will be set and we can take down these temporary walls. tool. I just tried it out. Rigid little palm nailer for tight spaces. Wasn't sure this was gonna work, but it is pretty phenomenal. And here, just load the nail in it. And get it where you want it. And then just applying a little bit of pressure. Okay, officially have a beam holding up the second floor. Got rid of that door opening as well.
Okay, so a little update on what's going to be happening here. Subfloors are all in, except for this one area because I got to move all this plumbing, and I didn't want to shut the water off to the house at that time, so I'll get to this eventually. But then I noticed these water lines are going to the second floor, and they are galvanized. So those will be replaced. The first project here is getting all the electrical in, and I'm going to be upgrading everything to 12 gauge wire. So all the wires will be pulled. I might be able to reuse some of this conduit, but for the most part it's going to be replaced. So yeah, that's the project here. This is going to be where the cabinets are. They're going to wrap around here, so I'm going to need a lot of outlets. The refrigerator is going to go right up to this wall, and about where I'm standing here, kind of drawn on there, but there will be an island here with the sink in it, so there will need to be electric and plumbing to here because there will be a garbage disposal. There will be more cabinets here. This is going to be removed. More cabinets along this wall and more outlets. And then there'll be light fixtures, which I have a whole bunch of stuff that I got from my electrical supplier. So these hopefully should cover it. But there will be can lights, a light fixture over the island, and then also this will be living area, the TV over there, and there will be a fixture up there in the center with can lights around it. And that's where we're at.